What's up everyone, it's Nintendo Freak here, and I am here to do another hardware review of the very popular Game Boy Color. Now here's just a little fun fact about the system. This was my first video game system and handheld ever. Maybe I might be mistaken, it might be PS1, but this was the one I fondly remember getting first. I believe my parents went out and got it on launch day for me. It was a huge surprise. I was really happy to get it, and it's just a fantastic system. We're going to take a closer look at it, but the system was released in 1998. It was the successor to the super popular Game Boy, the original Game Boy. Now they had released another system after the Game Boy Pocket, but that was just a smaller version of the Game Boy without the little green back screen that you saw on all the other Game Boy systems. But this was the true successor to the Game Boy line. The Game Boy Color, it featured color graphics, had a little bit more powerful processor, I believe, so it could have better graphics, but the main attraction was definitely the color. And because of this, obviously, the Game Boy Color became extremely popular. Let's just take a look at the system itself, as we always do. Here's the screen. Very nice screen. It looks very good when you put it up to a light like that. No backlight, but it still worked very well. The reflective screen was very nice. Here's just the power light. I believe that gets dimmer as you lose battery. There's just the Game Boy Color logo. All those colors that it showed right there, I believe, were original Game Boy Color colors. They had more colors in the future, and tons of different colors actually. But yeah, here's the D-pad. Very comfortable, very functional. Feels very nice. I really like the D-pad on the Game Boy Color. And your regular A and B buttons. Nintendo logo right in the middle. Down here you got your select and start buttons. And here's the speaker. Very good sound. I mean, nothing spectacular, but pretty good for a handheld. On this side, not much. You've got your power switch right there, and just little, I guess, grip things. Not sure what those were for. I guess stylistic. And on this side, you've got your volume switch right here. It was always weird to me that down increased the volume on these Game Boy systems, but I always got used to it. Here's the extension cable where you could play multiplayer with your friends. I always played Pokemon, obviously trading Pokemon, and you got another grip thing. And here, I guess you could put a wrist strap right through here. On the top, you've got your IR port for something like what I remember is for Pokemon mystery gifts, obviously. Lots of great stuff there. And on the bottom, you've got your DC 3-volt, which you could plug into a wall adapter, and your headphone jack right here. On the back, you've got your battery cover. It took 2 AA batteries, unlike the 4 AA batteries that the original Game Boy took, and that was a huge feature of the Game Boy line. The battery life was always one of the biggest things with these Game Boy systems. Absolutely fantastic battery life, at least 30 hours on 2 AA batteries. And here is the cartridge slot. The Game Boy Color was completely backwards compatible with all the Game Boy games from the original Game Boy. What was cool about the Game Boy Color is that for every Game Boy game you had, the original Game Boy game you had, you could add a little color to it. There was quite a few different color palettes you could choose from at the startup screen. If you pressed the directional pad, and you could also press like A in the directions, you get a different color palette. You press B in the different directional buttons, you get a different color palette. So that was really cool from my perspective, and I thought it added a lot to the actual system itself. Now here's a look at one of the games that came with it. This is a Game Boy Color cartridge. You see I got Zelda Oracle of Seasons here. They tried to differentiate them. Nintendo tried to differentiate the games from the original Game Boy cartridges, which were gray. They made the Game Boy Color cartridges clear. These were only playable on the Game Boy Color. But there were other cartridges, such as Zelda Link's Awakening DX, which were playable on the original Game Boy as well as on the Game Boy Color. It was greatly improved on the Game Boy Color with the color. These types of games actually had their own unique color, like developed independently just for the Game Boy Color. It wasn't just something like the color palette I explained before. But yeah, here's just Zelda. You just pop it in like this. Plays fine, you know. Turn it on. Absolutely awesome. As I mentioned earlier, there were different models of the Game Boy Color. I actually have one of them. I have the other teal Game Boy Color. I also had the red one, and it came with purple, atomic purple, which is a clear purple, the yellow, and this teal, like I said. And I just wanted to compare this really fast, the original Game Boy to the Game Boy Color. Here is the original Game Boy, and it was quite a bit bigger than the Game Boy Color. This was a much more pocketable system. It definitely, it fit better in your hands in my opinion, at least for me, and it was definitely more comfortable to use. And the fact that it didn't take 4 batteries. Overall, the Game Boy Color is an absolutely fantastic system. There are probably better choices now to play your Game Boy Color and Game Boy games on, such as the Game Boy Advance SP, but the Game Boy Color will always have a place in my heart as being my first video game system, and it is an absolutely fantastic handheld device, which I think anybody who's a gamer should definitely try to pick up.